Hello and welcome to the Daily Wind-Ups Afternoon Update. Here we have the continental US. With this first line, the long line that I've drawn here in orange, is the actual frontal boundary. The second line that I've drawn here near the Houston area is the prefrontal trough, which has been giving us quite a bit of rain today. We've had between 4 and 8 inches of rain through the last 24 hours. So I hope the farmers are happy. Too bad I didn't go a little further inland. Now here is the radar watches warnings, and where you can see this orange I've circled here, that is where the watches are, and there's the highest probability of severe. There could be some hail, gusty winds, even some tornadoes to the Carolinas and Virginia. And you can see down here the storms are moving out into the Gulf from Texas coast. Here is the radar image out of Houston. Most of the rain has pushed offshore. That's not to say it won't redevelop from the cold front to the north and the newly minted Invest 95L. This is the NAM for 24 hours out for Monday. And you can see down here where I've circled, that is where the NAM model says the rain and the storms are going to be from 95L. Not too organized. It should give us some rain though in Texas. Also, this trough continues to dig southward. Here is the wide view of the tropical Atlantic. On the right we have Invest 94L, and on the left we have newly minted Invest 95L. Now this is 94L close-up RGB image, and it's actually tightened up quite a bit in the last couple hours. The NHC, I believe, is giving it a 60 or 70% chance of developing into a tropical cyclone in the next 48 hours. Here are the models for 94L. As we talked about this morning, we're heading into an autumn type period, and the models are going to switch on and off as to which direction, which route this, whatever it becomes, takes. Some models want to take it out ahead of the troughs and recurve it right out into the Atlantic, while others, like the GFS, which I'll show here in a minute, are showing more of a strong ridge building out into the Atlantic, into Florida, bringing the system into the Gulf. Here's our exclusive size estimate for 94L. It initialized at 26.67 knots, and that seems pretty obvious. Bringing it up to a 45-knot tropical storm in 48 hours is a little fast, but it's possible. But I think it's going a little fast for it's not that tightly wound up yet. And here we have the newly minted 95L, and the National Hurricane Center actually put the low on land. I believe the low is further along the coast, possibly over the coast and over the water at the same time. And this system has been getting more organized. The main threat for this will be heavy rain for the Texas area. We're already getting rain, and this should meander around for a few days, giving us at least a better shot of rain. And here's the size estimate for 95L. This seems very likely. The initial 18.79 knots, and in 48 hours to be a depression. That seems reasonable, and we'll go with it from there. Here is the long-range radar picture from Brownsville, Texas, showing the outer bands of 95L. This L that I drew here in orange is close to the whereabouts of the low pressure system, as you can see on the radar, and it probably is a little closer to the coast, but I don't believe it's completely over land like the National Hurricane Center says it is. Now here is the GFS for Wednesday, 72 hours out. And we can see the system just meanders around in the Gulf. A strong high pressure to the north. And what's going to happen is it's going to eventually move into Louisiana or northern Texas, bringing a lot of rain. There's really nothing to stop it because the front that would steer it out is going to lose power very quickly. It's going to basically wash out in the Gulf of Mexico. There's really only two possible scenarios for this system. One, it gets hung up on the front and just glides right onto the east coast, or the warm front retreats and this system moves forward north with the front. Now this is the GFS hour 240 for Wednesday the 29th. And this is one of those runs that GFS this morning had 94L recurving out into the Atlantic. Now it shows a very strong ridge out in the Atlantic, and this system actually hits Houston, Texas. This far out, it's anybody's guess. But this is just goes to show you that the models are going to go back and forth, and they'll switch around, and hopefully we don't get a hurricane. But as I said, one thing to remember is it does seem like we're going into an autumn period, and that means bringing more cold fronts down. I tend to believe that these systems are going to be steered out. Maybe not completely off, maybe to the east coast or Florida. I'm not quite sure that a system this strong could make it all the way into the Gulf with fronts coming down, but we'll see what happens, and we'll continue to monitor. For the Daily Windup, I'm Donald Flowers.